Hi, lovelies. Lisa here from Mindful Tarot, and this is a bit of an experiment. I'm filming in a different place, which might be a little noisy, and then my hubby is here uh, off camera, as well as our dogs, and he's here because I'm about to do this unboxing video, which is very exciting, and he's interested in it as well as a bookman, as someone who knows a lot about rare and not hard to find books. He's sort of been tracking my tarot journey. So
Don't show your address.
he's saying, don't show my address. I'm not. This is the custom slip, honey.
But you had the other side the other way.
He says I had the other side the other way. So I may have to edit this video. But, you know, it's good. He's looking out for me. Anyway, so so this is something I found on Etsy. And I know what it is somewhat. I'm not sure what it is, what it could be, if that sounds vague enough. So actually I'm going to pause this so I can, well, maybe I can do this while I'm still talking. They packed it very nicely. It's not on camera, honey, don't worry.
Box knife.
Oh, the
Much
box
easier.
knife.
Much
Box
easier.
knife. See,
Careful,
this is what, it's good to have the pro in the
Every
mix.
place was on the table, not on your lap.
On,
I can show it to you, baby. I really can.
um,
What was that?
all right, so we're doing this. They packed it very nicely. It's. Oh, all right, I'm just ripping the box now. Okay, the moment of truth. So, I have been wanting a vintage Rider-Waite-Smith deck for a little while now, and you know, they come on eBay, and they're all sorts of levels of expensive. And so I was looking at some on eBay and thinking I'm not ready to spend that kind of money. I was really hoping for one of the blue box versions, and then I thought, oh, maybe someone's. I had actually started my morning. My husband was having a big book sale at our home, and I just, for some reason that morning, I popped into my head was the idea of let's manifest a vintage Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I said to Ezra, I said, let us manifest this. And later in the day, that's when I got the idea of looking at Etsy and seeing what they have. So this is it. This is it. It smells good. Oh, it's the Blue Box deck. Okay, so here's the thing about this deck. So, oh, my heart's beating kind of fast. So here's the thing. What I paid for, it's insane. It's insane what I paid for this. I feel incredibly lucky and blessed. So the big question is whether the cards inside, well, there are a bunch of questions. I know what the cards inside look like, so I have a sense that they're not copyrighted. As many of you know, U.S. Games, and I'll put some information about this down below, information that I got from looking at Eclectic Tarot, and Mary Greer actually compiled, and it's in the archives on Eclectic Tarot, compiled a bunch of information, pulling together research from a bunch of sources about the sort of history, publishing history of this deck. And according to those notes and other sources that kind of give slightly different parts of the story, my understanding is that U.S. Games purchased the copyright for this deck, or the rights to publish it, in 1970. It seems like there was an overlap with Rider and Company between then and 1975, maybe? In 1975, that's when you start to see the U.S. Games versions of the cards having the copyright on the cards. And then I think, I have to look at my notes, I think in 85 the cards start being plasticized. So there's a period in the late 70s where you can get the U.S. Games version of the deck and the cardstock is still really pretty nice. So like more vintage yellow box versions of the deck from U.S. Games from the 70s and early 80s before they become plastic. They might have the copyright, but they might be really nice, or early 70s U.S. Games version might have no copyright, and the cardstock be pretty nice. And I think those cards are still printed in Switzerland. And then I think there's a moment where the things start being printed in Italy and they change. But anyway, the Ryder and Company cards published in this blue box, I think from the 50s on. Some of these are what they call the Blushing Fool cards, which you guys may be all familiar with. I've learned about this stuff only pretty recently. So the question is this a Blushing Fool deck? Now, according to what I've read, this address, the Fitzroy Square address in London, this corresponds with decks prior to 75, produced by Ryder and Company. But these might not have been printed by this publishing house in England, Waddington. My understanding is that Waddington, when they printed it, those were the Blushing Fool cards. And I'll link some websites below to give examples of the Blushing Fool cards. And if any of you know more about this stuff and can tell me, please comment below or email me or reach me on Instagram or something, because I'm eager to know much more about all this. Anyway, from what I've researched, this is not a Waddington deck, and so it shouldn't be a Blushing Fool deck, but there's conflicting information because the Fitzroy Square address suggests that it would be a Blushing Fool deck. So that's the big question, because as I understand, and this is clearly a green wreath, there's others that are yellow wreath. As I understand it, it's the yellow wreath that are the Blushing Fool decks, and the ones that are the Waddington decks. So I don't think this will be a Blushing Fool deck. That's the big question. If it is, it's more scarce. If it isn't, it's less scarce. Either way, it should be pretty nice. Okay, and I'm just amazed at how beautiful this box is. This box is in such great condition. Complete set of 78 cards. I'll just show you what it says. First published in 1910. The original and only authorized edition of tarot cards, Ryder and Company. Tarot cards. Conceived by A.E. Waite and drawn by Pamela Coleman Smith. Her name is misspelled. Oh, okay, that's also a point. So this is probably not the Blushing Fool deck because the name is misspelled here. Notice that these are the ones that are printed in Switzerland. Okay, well, we'll see. The moment of truth. Okay. And they're not in order, so it's going to take me a while. So here's another thing, the Ryder Tarot cards. Apparently there is a version that was published in 1972, which this I don't think is. If it is, it will say copyright 1972, but it doesn't say that. My hands are shaking. So this is what it says here. And again, Pamela Coleman Smith's name is misspelled. This clearly isn't the 1972. So the cards are a little bit bent, but in good shape. Really good shape. Sorry, that was upside down. Wheel of Fortune. So yes, they're definitely bent, but God, they're in beautiful shape. And they just smell like divination. Wow. So I don't know if you can see the cross hatching is really visible there. The colors are soft. I don't know about any other points. Points is like, how would you define points, Ezra? Points are like some things that you notice in a book or a published thing.
Things which determine the first edition status.
Okay, things which determine the edition status.
Whether it be misprints or photographer's picture or collar of dust jacket, etc.
So I don't know if you can hear that, but wow, my hands are still shaking. Oh, look at these colors. The colors are really beautiful. They're so soft and mute and clean. The lines are really clean. This is a beautiful deck. Oh, look at that. Just look how sharp that image is. And, you know, I have to count these. I'm not going to probably go through all of them, but I'm going to go through them until I get to. So I think that the decks that are Blushing Fool decks also, we see some of that on the Priestess. So again, I don't think this is the Blushing Fool deck. But, you know, it's still a beautiful deck. still beautiful vintage deck.
Well, go look at the
I'm
full.
just go look at the full. I'm going through these cards. You guys know what these cards look like. I'm just seeing if I find any. Oh my God. Okay, so it's not the Fool. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you excited. But just look how sharp that Ace of Swords is. I mean, not the sword itself. It might be sharp too. Oh, the image. I mean, the lines really are sharper. And the colors, just the printing is really nice. Oh, and then this is my card I always get, 5 of Wands. So much more detail. And look at the green on the 6 of Wands.
Did you find the Fool yet?
I haven't found the Fool yet. The Fool, man, it would be a drag if this doesn't have the Fool. If I'm looking through it, just the Knight of Wands. I mean, there's a lot more detail in the coloring than I'm used to seeing. Look at the Queen. Look at the cat. He's all... his hair is sticking out. Oh, the aces are really, really just gorgeous. Yeah, so I just, was in Etsy. I just dialed in, put in vintage deck. This is gorgeous. This is kind of beyond. I've seen no flaws with any of these cards other than, gosh, sharply drawn that is. Other than, oh wow, look at the clouds. Can you see? No flaws other than the whole deck being slightly bent. Really, oh wow. Everywhere that I'm used to colors kind of running together, even in, an edition like the Centennial edition, the colors are more distinct and the line art is sharper. Again, like the clouds. So, oh yeah, the aces are just all beautiful. That, if you can see that dove gray of the background sky, it's beautiful. But I'm still not finding the Fool. So, keep looking. Oh, the snow falling on the 5 of Pentacles. So pretty. Now look at the, again, I mean, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. The colors are more sharp, and lines are more sharply defined. But really, I'm wondering where that Fool is. Okay, here are the 2 blank cards that are supposed to come. So it really is, so far, it's really looking like it's a complete deck. It has those 2 blank cards, the World, and the Fool. It is not a Blushing Fool deck. Yeah, I'm sure. So it's not a Blushing Fool deck. No, I know for sure. It's just like, let me see. So what this suggests to me, if the box is accurate, and I think it must be, this is clearly beautiful cardstock, really sharply defined images. This isn't one of the Waddington Blushing Fool decks. It's clearly, but the information that Mary Greer had assembled, which suggests that if it says Fitzroy, that it's one of those Waddington decks, that because apparently the writer and company moved their shop, and so one of the points is it Fitzroy, or I'm trying to remember what the name of the other street is. I'll have that info below again. So clearly that's not fully accurate. It can be a writer and company deck, early 70s. I'm going to say that this is a 1970 to 72 deck, but prior to the 1972 redacted version, where they corrected the spelling of Pamela Coleman Smith's name, but after Waddington stopped printing the physical decks and the printing moved to Switzerland, which seems to be when they moved away from the Blushing Fool. Okay, I will count these cards, make sure I have everything, but I think I have a complete deck, a beautiful vintage deck, um, beautiful, one that met my my desire to manifest for myself. A vintage deck that I could afford, that wouldn't break the bank, would be beautiful, would bring me lots of joy. So and it arrived here in beautiful condition and very, very quickly, actually. So, mwah, mwah. Consume your tarot decks responsibly. Um, don't be like me and simply impulse buy, but this wasn't an impulse buy. And I feel very, very grateful and very fortunate and have something that I will treasure as long as I can treasure it. Goodbye, all.